I'm Leandra Witchwood.
And I'm Elyse Wells.
And welcome to the Magick Kitchen Podcast, where we talk about magic, kitchen witchcraft, herbs,
and everything in between.
The Magick Kitchen Podcast is funded and supported by thewitchwoodteahouse.com, offering a variety of hand-blended loose leaf teas as well as loose herbs for all of your ritual, spell work, wellness, and everyday enjoyment needs. If you would like to support this podcast while sipping a great cup of tea, head over to thewitchwoodteahouse.com and find the magic that's in store for you.
So I feel like everybody needs an update.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, this episode is being recorded in person together at one microphone. So that is very exciting. And we will have the videos up in our respective communities. I'll have this up on Patreon and it'll be up on Rebel Mystic as well if you want to watch us for this episode. Yeah, definitely an update is required. This has been a crazy
lot going
few
on.
months.
I don't even know where to begin. Where do you want to start?
Well, I got back from Greece about a month ago. As of recording this, though, 2 days ago.
Yes, exactly.
And so we haven't hung out in a while, obviously, because I've been overseas. And I had an amazing retreat. Everybody who came to Delphi with me had a life-changing experience. And I don't say that lightly. Like, it really was such a transformative opportunity. The way that the people who came just trusted the energies and opened up to what can happen in sisterhood. And I just can't believe it was only 5 days. Like it felt like a lifetime of connection.
Yeah. And I can validate that because one of my students went too. And she came back. She's like, oh my gosh, I have so much to process. Like it was meaningful. There was meat to it, not just, oh, I'm just going to go on vacation.
Yeah. Which is why next year I'm marketing them as immersive pilgrimages.
Yeah. It's not just a vacation.
Yeah. Retreat kind of says like, relax and unwind. And truthfully, you're doing really deep work. So it's pretty heavy stuff sometimes. And it also is time warping, like it's 5 days, 3 days, 4 days. No, it's a lifetime of change.
Yeah. I feel like when you go on those things, you're tapping into other timelines, not just the one you're currently in. You're not just working the timeline that you're walking. You're tapping into your higher self timeline. And I think that's where the deep work really comes in, where you're like, wait, what did we just do? Can't remember it. But then later you reflect like, oh, that's what that was.
Yeah. And it's forever. Like it really rearranges your cells. Like when I went to my first retreat in May of 2024, I was mind blown at how much it changed my life. Like I stopped biting my nails after that trip, on that trip and since.
Nice.
I've never bitten my nails again. And I also learned from one of the women who attended that retreat, I learned about Louise L. Hayes's Heal the Body and following those. It's very simple manifestations that you can do for healing. They have actually worked every turn. Nice. So that was just 2 small examples, but it also was where I released my fear of being seen, which allowed me to lose weight that I'd never been able to lose before for my health and just literally shed the things I was using to protect myself.
Yeah.
So it really, retreats are transformative. There's no other word for it.
And I think that it's not a one and done thing either. It's you come home, you do the work, you continue the work. And then you go on another retreat, which reinforces that work. So I've met people who are like, oh, I'm just going to go on one retreat and my whole life will be changed. It will be for a little while, sure. But we're creatures of habit. We revert if we're not influenced constantly. So, yeah.
Yeah. And it's such a privileged thing to say, but I have made it a priority in my life to spiritually travel every year. I have lots of different goals in that, like I want to go to a new country every year. I want to expand the kinds of sacred sites I go to be more rigorous, things that you need to do a long hike to get to, things like that. Sure. But one goal I think every person should have is to do an in-person spiritual community event every single year.
Yes.
Every year. Maybe that's the same one every year. Maybe it's something that is, just a single day. It's not a overnight thing. But I think everybody should do something yearly for their path in person.
I agree.
To connect with others in community, which actually we're already starting the episode because
I think we are, because this is what we wanted to talk about. We want to talk about community and how do you immerse yourself in community and find the right teachers in that community.
Yes. Yeah.
And you and I both have been leaning into that. We are the priestesses and we are leading those communities. We're leading those experiences. And you've been doing it with retreats. I've been doing it with helping others like Wendy Mata with her retreats. But I have a retreat of my own coming up in October that's for my members. And everybody is so excited about it. I'm excited about it. We're going to spend 5 days in the Adirondacks in nature. There's moose up there. I want to see a moose. I so want to see a moose.
I've heard they're so big.
They're
like
huge.
So
yeah. And so the woman that how I met this property and this woman is through Wendy. And we become really good friends. And I went up to visit her because she had purchased 50 acres that was decimated. It was awful. The family had a big dispute over the land, who owned it. The will went, quote unquote, missing. And so the cousins or the nieces and nephews came in with a logging company and decimated the land. They logged it and left it scarred. So my job when I went up there was to help heal that process, start that healing process, talk to the trees, talk to the growing plants, and let them know that the new owner was on board with helping that property, that 50 acres, heal. And so now she dubbed me with the name of Snow White because before I came, the property was silent. When I went there, it was silent. It was a dead property. Like, the birds had left. The animals were scarce. She was having an issue with the neighbor who shared the property line coming on, baiting the deer and killing them. Like,
oh my God.
Yeah, really awful. Like, illegal baiting. So it was on her property. She would have been fined for it. Jeez. But he's the one crossing the property line to do it. Yeah. So my job was to set up protections, set up wards, and talk to the trees, talk to the land, and start that healing process. And by the time I left, like, she and I have a plan of how that's going to look. So over the next few years, she's going to do XYZ, and she has her marching orders now from me and the land of how she interacts with the land. The offerings she offers, the cleaning up, the restoration, that sort of thing. But she also, the 2 days before I was leaving, she's like, what if I made this into a retreat center? And I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like a long-term plan, that she's going to open it up to marginalized communities like ours to have a natural place to go to retreat and to learn from other educators and that sort of thing. So, but the reason she gave me the name Snow White now is because the animals returned.
No.
They have come back. So now the birds are singing. She's seeing foxes. She's seeing all the animals return. And she's like, the one thing we're missing is a moose.
Manifested it.
Manifest a moose, man. We need a moose. But it's beautiful because, like, it's up on the mountain, and you can oversee the entire valley. It's just gorgeous. It's a gorgeous place, but heavily mistreated. So so the retreat's going to involve that property, as well as the Hudson House is where we're going to stay, which is another gorgeous property. So right on the river, we're going to do some rituals right on the river, talk to the Hudson River, which is a sister to the Susquehanna.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was beautiful. When I was flying in, actually, I saw the Hudson.
Did you?
And then, we crossed the Schuylkill to get home.
Yep.
And then
then
we crossed the Susquehanna. And it's so beautiful the way rivers demarcate land like that. Yeah. Like they herald. They are, in Sacred Wild, I talk about like how to the terminology you can use to talk about these different types of animals and spirits that we can come across. in the land. And I call rivers the elders. You know, they're elder spirits.
Like the Susquehanna to me feels like a grandmother, where the Hudson feels like a big sister to me, or like an auntie. That's the energy I got from it. Like, it was more playful. It definitely,
cool aunt.
Yeah, like the cool aunt that was so receptive. And we ended up, while I was there, it was full moon, so we went out on the full moon, out on the banks, and it hit just before I got there. Like the day I arrived, like it was finally the end of like the storms. Like it was so swollen, and so we were really careful. We were trying to be really careful to get down as close as we could without, because it was just rushing.
Yeah, future Terabithia vibes.
Yeah, very much. And so we were being very careful, but it finally receded enough by the time the full moon came around that we could get to one of the big rocks where you could stand in the water on the rocks. And we left offerings, and it was really cool. I can't wait to go back. That's where I'm hosting my retreat for my community. And that's going to be for the Sanctuary 1 graduates. Which That's really cool. Yeah.
That's awesome.
They made it through their first 6 months. So,
and that's interesting too, because, in this episode, we want to talk about community. We want to talk about ways that this is working. And so I feel like we did, and for those who haven't listened, go back to, I think it was season 2. We have an episode on red flags for spiritual teachers.
Yes.
That is a really great companion episode to this one, because it talks more about choosing the person who facilitates, which we are going to talk a little bit about that today as well, to add to that conversation. But also thinking about the online versus in person.
Yeah.
And something I'm trying this year as well is my current container. Unfortunately, it's closed, but the wait list is out for next year if you would like to join that. Sacred Wild Priestess. That is my 12-week initiation course. It's the only initiation course I run. And it ends with an in-person initiation retreat at the Susquehanna, at the river that I work with the most. So it's an opportunity to combine those forces. And something else that happened this year, which is really beautiful, is a good majority of the students came from my retreat.
Yeah.
So they met each other in person for the first time, and now we're together. And it's such an interesting dynamic, because my last 2 containers that I've run, the Red Thread, I run that every winter, starting in January for 9 weeks. And every October, I do an 8-week course called Witch Codes. And both of those groups started with people who only knew each other online. This time, it's people who know each other in person and some who only knew each other online. And it's really interesting to recognize that there is almost the same kinship.
Yeah.
Like, I think when you do it right, joining an online container will be the emblem of an in-person experience.
Yeah.
It really can be. That's why I'm still searching for the best platform. We were talking about that before we started recording, but I want somewhere where I can join, like Zoom. Like, I guess it's just Zoom. I've been using Zoom. We'll keep using Zoom, but I love that everyone has their camera on, that everybody's part of the conversation, that we have the threads outside of class.
Yes.
So they're getting involved with that.
Yes.
It just keeps things real. It's just like you're hitting them up, for coffee in person, but you're joining on Zoom.
Yeah.
And it's cool, because I feel like in my memories, I never feel like, oh, that's right, that was on Zoom. Like, it feels like a memory of spending time with that person.
So you don't say it like, oh, I talked to so-and-so on Zoom. You just say, I just talked to so-and-so.
Yeah.
You're talking, you're connecting. And that's the real crux of it. We want to connect. We want to go deeper with our relationships, no matter where we are in the world.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of a technology, is that we can use this technology to connect with everyone, everywhere. And it's great. And I think we don't always utilize it the best ways.
Yeah, we let it use us. Yeah, the doom scrolling. And
yes.
I recently learned, if you have iPhone, you can do this. You can set up different, you might be able to do it on a non-iPhone too, but you set up different focus modes.
Okay.
So I run all of my communities and chats through WhatsApp. And then I have all of my personal chats with my family and friends on Signal. And then Facebook Messenger sometimes too. So I have everything on different timers, so that I only, I socialize with my family and friends when I do. And then during my, other hours, workday hours, which isn't really like traditional workday hours, but when I'm engaged with writing, for example, I have a full focus mode where nothing comes through.
Yeah.
So, and then I have notifications off for every single social media. I haven't had them on since I was an undergrad. because it's just so stressful.
Well, and neuroscience has proven that if we are I don't remember what the name of it is, but there's a term for it now, where if we're constantly expecting the ding to go off, like our brain will preempt that for us. And we'll feel the buzz or the ding or hear the ding, and it didn't even go off.
It's phantom vibrations.
Yes, yes. And it's actually like becoming an issue because we're so locked into these devices, which okay, they're super helpful. Like we can do so much with them. So it
but they're
makes
just
sense.
so easy to abuse.
But,
the more useful something is,
the easier it is to abuse,
or the more fun something is, right?
But then we're constantly hitting that cortisol level because we're like stressed that we're missing a text or we're missing a message instead of just allowing ourselves to consciously disconnect.
Yeah. Yes. Which is hard. The guilt is real.
It is. But that has to be part of the spiritual journey. In my opinion, has to be part of the spiritual journey. We have to disconnect. Like a really good example of this is in my community. When someone is crashing out, they are in crisis. I purposefully do not respond immediately. I see the notification. I get mindful. I might read it and then I get mindful with it. But I purposely do not respond right away. Because if I do, then I'm engaging in the stress. I'm connected to that stress. I'm connected to the, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Instead of saying, okay, everything will be okay. Everything will be fine. How do I approach this in a more aligned way so I'm not adding to the stress? So the members of my community know that. They know that I'm not going to be like, whoop, you know? And like I might have a really good insight. I might have a really awesome insight that I could just drop in there right then. But I know that I have not given them time to come off of the stress level either. Yeah, because if you're in a high stress, you're not going to hear any advice. You're not going to hear anything. Another really good example of this is a friend of mine who he was stuck in that loop, and he wanted me to coach him in shadow work. I'm like, okay, fine, I will coach you in shadow work, but you're going to do the work. And I saw it from the moment I met him. I knew he wasn't ready to face his shadows. He wanted to identify with the pain. He wanted to identify with the crisis, and he wanted that to be how he connects with the world. So I knew immediately.
The wounded artist.
Yeah. And he wanted, and he was using that. He was using that on social media to have people donate to his GoFundMe or whatever he was using. And essentially he was using his story to keep himself wounded and to keep the dialogue going of, oh, poor me. I'm so... They're taking advantage of me instead of taking control of his life. And that's part of shadow work is we need to recognize where we cause our own misery. And he wasn't willing to do that. So when I was responding to him, it was a lesson for myself, a reminder of the lesson. Like I was responding too quickly. He wasn't going to hear it. And I was like, look, if you just do this, if you just work with me, he didn't want to. And I quickly I realized, okay, we're not going anywhere with this. He does not want a solution. He only wants the problem. So I disconnected completely. And that's how I work with my clients. You're either in or you're out.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the opportunity to live in your misery for a little while, if that's what you choose, because you're choosing it. And then when you're ready, I'm here.
Yeah.
But don't make me the bad guy in it. And that's what it started to become. I was becoming the bad guy when I was just trying to help him. And so going into this conversation of finding good groups, good teachers, a good teacher is not going to solve it for you. They're not going to hand you the answer.
And any teacher who says they can,
no,
it's just not true.
No, you have to come to the resolution yourself.
Yeah, it has to be co-created. Any good guide. That's why I love the word guide, the word mentor, because it reminds people that I'm here to help.
Yes.
To give you the tools, to have accountability.
Exactly. To
listen actively. Something that's really changed the game as well in mentorship for me as a mentor is sending voice notes back and forth. I find that gives people the credence to know exactly where I'm coming from with it. And especially since so many people come through the Magick Kitchen podcast or Seeking Numina, the Sacred Places podcast. Even sometimes Cosmic Theater Mystery School, I'll have people come to me through that. So my voice is where you know me.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And this is real. We'd never have a script. We don't.
Yeah, we don't script anything.
We decided exactly what we were going to record after we were already having this conversation. Then we were like, let's get recording.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So it's just, it's about that deep, authentic trust that you can have with each other, with a mentor, a teacher, and also the community they create. I would say that's another thing to look for. It's finally time. My book, Sacred Wild, An Invitation to Connect with Spirits of the Land, is now available for pre-order. Pre-orders are the #1 key to a book success. They help Sacred Wild reach more readers and even bestsellers lists. If you love the Magick Kitchen podcast, this is a great way to support my work. Pre-order now at seekingnumina.com/preorder. Thank you so much for listening. Something to look for in a teacher is who are they calling in for a container? So let's talk about containers. What is a container?
Let's start it.
I define a container as...
Can I back up just real quick?
Oh, yeah.
So before I accept people in containers, before I have people looking for containers, I always like to ask them, what are they looking for? Why do you want to do this? What is your focus on the path? So that's really just the question. Why do you want to follow this path? Why is it resonating to you? And that'll help you decide what container. So that's just a side note.
Yeah. And if it's calling to you, sometimes we don't even know why. Like I had shout out to I'll say your name. Shout out to Chloe, because when Chloe first joined the first container she joined with me, it was Witch Codes in 2024. And she set up the call. We had a Zoom call beforehand. That's the other thing. Most people who join my containers do a call with me beforehand, unless they've done one in the past and we already know each other. But if it's their first time interacting with me, we either send a lot of voice notes back and forth, or we do a call if scheduling permits, so that we can really do a vibe check in that way. So I really recommend that. If you have a teacher who you're about to sign up for an expensive investment and they don't do free calls beforehand, that is definitely a bit of a red flag, because why are they afraid to talk to their student? Like they should want to set up a call, you know? So that's something to look forward.
And it might not be something standard, but if you ask for it and they're like, oh, no, then that,
Yeah. And it should be standard. I think a discovery call before something big like that's pretty important. But anyway, Chloe, when she signed up for Witch Code, she was like, I'll be honest, I didn't really read the description too well. I just knew I needed to be there. And sure enough, she did. Like when I think of where her life is now since that container, she's now embarking on her career as a shadow work coach. She is co-hosting the Mystical Mermaid Lounge, shout out, an amazing podcast with another friend of ours, Keone, who we met all together in the Witch Codes. So it literally changed her life to join that container. And she didn't even know why she was joining it, except to know she needed to. So sometimes that calling is so strong that, we just need that confirmation of the vibe check with the teacher, or, so that's where I wanted to talk about the teacher's perspective. Like after running containers for a few years, I now know if you run a container without a clear definition of who's meant to be there, that's sometimes I think why the call can come through as like, don't know why I need to be there, but I do. The facilitator is setting a clear intention of who is this for?
Yeah.
Who am I calling in? For Sacred Wild Priestess, I'm always calling it, because it's an initiatory tradition. You're learning secrets of practice with the land that I have channeled with the land in Greece. These are important ancient practices, and I don't want anyone joining who's not going to do them. I want people who are dedicated to the path.
To it.
You need to have a frame drum. You need to have beeswax candles. Like there are specific parameters to this practice that you will be doing. Each week there's an Earth Priestess practice that we share in the group, what our progress is. We do it on our own. We share it. There's 2 calls per week. Like it's an involved class. So I'm always calling in committed people, dedicated people, and people who are ready to show up in sisterhood.
Yeah.
Never sisterhood, CIS, always sisterhood. We are always here supporting each other and giving each other that permission to expand into our highest selves. So there's a lot of pieces that a facilitator should have in mind. So if you ask a facilitator before you join a container, what kind of people are we expecting this? It's also, I don't think it's a rude question to ask who's signed up so far. You don't need to give people's phone numbers away, but you can say like,
oh, like personal information.
Yeah. Like, if, you know, to say like the skill level of the others signed up or things like that. I think that's actually very like helpful. Like I've had quite a few people say, you know what, knowing that like, especially like the Greek American thing, like sometimes I'll have like a few Greek Americans signed up and then another person who's Greek American reaches out and I'm like, well, just so you know, like you'd be in good company with this amount of people. Like
that's good.
Yeah. So those demographics matter a lot in the flow of a group.
And definitely knowing what you're getting into is so important because I think people sign up for things. It's almost like an impulse buy when they're doing these containers. Like, oh, I need this spiritual thing, but then they don't show up. They don't do the thing. I haven't experienced that in my live containers, but summits are a great example of that.
Yeah.
Like all of my summits have a free ticket, but I also have a paid ticket. And it's almost like too many of us are using these spiritual experiences as a band-aid. That, oh, if I just attend this, then everything will be fine. That's not what the summits are intended for. The summits are intended to give you a perspective of what's out there. And the reason I believe in them, the reason I love them so much is because it gives you a sampling of the different teachers. That was the one advice my mentor gave to me before I could even work with her, before she even allowed me to be a student. She's like, okay, you're going to take 6 to 9 months and you're going to go learn with as many people as possible. I don't want you coming back to me until you've learned from as many people as open rituals, study groups, workshops, whatever you can find, get yourself in there and learn from all these people so that you know this is the path you want. Yeah. You are definitely a witch and you are definitely ready to learn this stuff. And that was the best advice. And I give that to all of my students. Go learn from other people. So that's why I host these summits, is so that I can get 10, 15, 20. I haven't done 20 yet. It's like herding cats sometimes. But you get a handful of teachers together. All of them have a different perspective on things. All of them have learned from their own experience, from their own teachers, and then they bring that to you.
Yeah. That's the red flag too. If a teacher says you can't have other teachers.
Oh, I hate that. Yeah. No, you need other teachers. We need to be well-rounded. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody's eclectic. I'm eclectic. I consider myself an eclectic witch. And I discovered recently that that's like a new term.
It's an archaic term that is coming back. And so people are like, what is it? What is that? That's me. There's a term for that. And I'm like,
so I actually have a quiz. I have a quiz our listeners can take. Remind me, I'll get the link. But it is the witch archetype quiz. And I take like 10 different archetypes. But in your results, it'll also link you with other archetypes that you might resonate with. So it's not just, okay, this is you and this is only the way you could be ever. You can't ever go over here. You can't. No, you can't. So the eclectic witch is the one archetype in that. And I've had so many people message me like, what's an eclectic witch? I never knew this existed. Thank you for this. Like, this is me. Because baby witch me grew up with that term.
Yeah, that was the term back in the day, because green witch was very restrictive.
Yes.
And there used to be like spirit witch, which meant you talk to spirits. And it's like, of course you talk to spirits.
Of course you do, you're a witch.
Yeah. So anyway, just some throwbacks for everybody. But yeah, like I think actually that was something I really admired about a lot of the people who came into Sacred Wild Priestess this go round, is almost everybody is doing it alongside their own thing.
Yeah.
So like one person is doing, because we use the frame drum heavily in that class, they're doing an in-person frame drum study at the same time.
Nice.
And I was like, hell yeah. I love that. Somebody else is doing a Native American tradition. She's Native American, alongside that.
Nice.
So, and it's really amazing the way these things will support each other. Yeah. Like the containers you join, you might be like, this feels random. No, it's not
random.
Your spirit led. It's going to be
important.
Yeah. And it's going to flow with the next thing. And I was just listening to Matthew Baker. He's a druid. He was on Druidcast. It was an old episode, probably 2021. But he was talking about how he started his druid grade alongside his undergrad. and then, or his bardic grade, then his ovate grade with his master's degree. Then after he graduated and he was starting the world with his art career, he started his druid grade. Nice. So it was like, and it was not really intentional, but it was how it flowed. And I was like, I like that. I think that's important. Yeah. And myself, I haven't officially started, but by the time this releases, I will have started. I'm starting my bardic grade with OBOD in July of 2025, which is when I'm grounding back. You know what? I think it's time. I haven't really announced that yet on the show. No. All right. All right. I'll share this. So I have relocated to the US. Yep. For more of the year.
That's how we're doing this live together.
Yeah. Your questions have been answered already. So, and if you're in my Facebook group, Seekers of the Sacred Wild, you probably have noticed like a more consistent background. But yeah, I've been nomadic for a long time. I've lived in Greece for 5 years, and I still will be in Greece several months of the year. But as far as America's shitstorm, I want to be in the eye of the hurricane. I want to be here to fight for my country and to be a part of keeping it what makes it actually an amazing place to live. I think people who are stuck living in America their whole lives, shouldn't say stuck, but who are living in America their whole lives. Yeah. It can feel very negative to be here. It can feel
claustrophobic right now.
Yeah. And it definitely does as things get more intense with anti-immigration. And but as a dual citizen, as somebody with multiple nationalities who's lived out overseas a good portion of my life, I promise you, this is a special place. This is a place worth protecting. And it is a land worth loving. Yeah. Very, very much so. And it loves us back. It gives us so many opportunities for us to reach out with love, this land. And I want to be here to protect the sanctity of individuality, self-expression, the things that make America unique. America is the only country in the world where you can have multiple nationalities. Everywhere else I've ever lived, I'm not Greek enough to be Greek to the modern Greeks. You know, I'm not Egyptian enough to the Egyptians, but no one has ever made me feel not American enough. They can accept me in my multiplicity. Yeah. And that is a uniquely American experience. The other thing that makes America unique is we have self-expression and individuality. We get to wear colors that complement our skin, or, you know, we just get to be ourselves. We get to be colorful. We put bumper stickers on our cars. We do all kinds of stuff that says, look, I'm me. Yeah. And we celebrate that. You know, Mr. Rogers told us every day, you are special just the way you are. Yes. And that is something worth protecting. So I want to be here in the clusterfuck. Like, I really do. I want to show up. I want to fight. And I want to fight with love and create sacred spaces. And I want to be in community.
Yes. I think
that's why I moved back. At the end of the day, I want to be part of in-person community again. And I can't do that in Greece. People aren't ready for it.
Well, and that's the whole point of us talking about these containers and what we do and our students and their experiences, that we want to demonstrate to you out there who are unsure, or you're alone, or you just don't know how to find community. We're out here. We're here. And community is so important. And I think we discount that because in our American culture, it seems like, I know this to be a fact, that the individual is prized over the many. You have to be tough. You have to stand alone. You have to tough it out. You have to, you know, if you can't do it alone, then you failed somehow. Yeah. I disagree with that. I think we need our community. We need our spaces. We need people at our backs. Yep. Not to necessarily validate us and to validate our path, but to support our path, to be there for us. And to me, like, being a witch is a lot of it is solitary. It can be very solitary, but that's not the whole of it.
I have had no fewer than, in my mind, I can remember 3 conversations with 3 individual people saying, oh, I would love to join that container, but I need to prove I can do it on my own first.
Right. Yeah. Why though? Why do we get that? What? It's a weird messaging that we have bought into, that we have to be able to be independent before we can be a part of something bigger. Yeah. And that's false. It's a false assumption.
It's the same thing as you have to love yourself before you deserve love.
Right. That's not true. It's a patriarchal message that limits us. And I think
it's anti-feminist to say you can't receive because you're not giving enough.
Because you don't love yourself enough. Like, that's when we need love from others the most.
Exactly.
When we can't love ourselves. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I just, when I'm thinking of the type of people I want in my circle, personally, energetically, I'm thinking, what comes to mind right now are the other little groups that I'm a part of that have nothing to do with my bigger community. Like every Monday night, I am part of, we call it the Bruja Sisters. And we get together and we do a mini women's circle together. And then we talk about our week. How's it going, guys? What's going on? Who needs help today? Like, do we need to send energy to each other? Do we, who's going to a doctor's appointment? Do you need support there? Like, I can't be there physically with you, but I can send you energy that helps you advocate for yourself, that helps you speak up. And that's what community does.
Yeah.
It helps us stand on our own when we have no other choice but to be on our own. And there's another one where we just at 9:00 once a week, we don't get on Zoom or anything like that. We just stop what we're doing and we send Reiki to each other.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's a beautiful community thing. And that's why we need community. We need community for these supportive outlets and inlets that let us be stronger by ourselves instead of expecting ourselves to hold all that by alone. Like, it's so lonely. And no wonder we're depressed in America. No wonder we're, having trouble knowing who we are. If we can't get an experience in the broader scheme, of course, we're not going to know who we are. We're only going to know our limited self. We're not going to know our full self.
Hi, everyone. This is Leandra Witchwood, and I have a free live virtual event for you coming June 24th and 25th. This is an event filled with speakers that you've already heard many of them on the podcast, including Elyse Wells. She will be joining us, and we will be teaching you how to divinely alchemize your daily journey to make it magical, to make it meaningful. So join us June 24th and 25th. Grab your free ticket while you can. The link is in the show notes or visit leandrawitchwood.com. Blessed be.
So I think that's a good place for us to end this conversation, but I want us to open it up to our listeners that if you have questions about containers, like what happens in them and how do you become a part of one, or what does it look like, ask us.
Yeah.
We'd
love to answer on air as well. If you have a great question,
I would love to
other people have it. Yeah. If we have a question or wondering, it's never stupid. There's always somebody else having the exact same question.
Yeah.
And I feel like our kitty cat, who you probably haven't seen if you've been watching on video, he's been right in front of me, but he just woke up. Now he's going to sit with me. Yeah, so now you can see his handsome little face.
He's so tiny.
Yeah.
But yeah, like any questions you have about containers, about covens. So, I've been in and out of covens my entire witchcraft career. And currently I have shifted my community space into a coven space. So I have a hybrid. It's in person and online. And of course the in-person is localized. So I'm not expecting people to travel to York, Pennsylvania every week. But the idea is that we come together and we learn and grow. And it sets us up for the bigger containers, because sometimes big containers can be big, right? They can be something that it's a little intimidating for some people, especially if you're not sure where you're going or where you've been or what you're looking for. So what I do in this is I offer, a free class once a month, and anybody can join it. And that gives you a taste. So if you have questions about stuff like that, like, what does that look like for me? How do I get a part of this? Ask us. And I will have links and stuff in the description, but
yeah. Oh yeah. I always love setting up a call. Like, everybody gets a free 30-minute call with me, an opportunity to share your path. Honestly, I love meeting listeners and hearing about your path and hearing how we've impacted.
Yes.
We have almost 1 million downloads on this podcast. Yeah, I know. I know. So I know there's people getting stuff out of this, so reach out and let us know.
But
yeah,
I think it's so important for us to connect and be a part of something, not, be one little thing, just be a part of something.
And if you've been on the fringe and you've been thinking about it, Witch Codes launches in October again this year. Actually, November 4th will be our first meeting. So you can sign up from now. And there's an early bird price going right now. So you can sign up from now. You can set up a call with me, see if it's a good fit. But community's waiting for you.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you have to meet some, I like I said, you never need to know your path perfectly to join a community. Communities are where you find that path.
Yeah.
The container gives you so much support to, build your own path alongside it.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling the call, if it's something you can't get out of your brain, it is worth it.
Yeah. And you can join the Rebel Mystic Coven anytime. And like I said, I give a free lesson every month. We meet once a week or once every 2 weeks. But one of the lessons every month I broadcast to my community. So you have to sign up for the community. The link will be in the description, but that'll give you a taste. It'll give you an idea. And it's almost like microdosing community before you're ready for the big community. So there is a progression. So you can go, you can just be a seeker and just join us.
Yeah. Join the newsletter, because my newsletter's on seekingnumina.com. Join it because you'll be able to know exactly what's coming next, because as of recording this, I'm working on something really big and exciting. Ooh. But the tech side of it has me pushed back to probably maybe an August release.
Okay.
It'll be out by the time this episode
might be September. I don't know.
I definitely want it by Lammas. That's my hard deadline for myself.
And if you want to know your witch archetype, I will link the quiz in the description so you can check out your witch archetype and see where you fall.
Merry meet,
merry part, and merry meet again.
Thank you for joining us on the Magick Kitchen Podcast. Please visit my website, leandrawitchwood.com, for news, information, and more episodes.
I'm Elyse Wells, and I can be found at Seeking Numina on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, and seekingnumina.com. That's Seeking, Numina.